Alright folks, welcome to the first episode of Men of Culture. I'm CloudX, with me my co-founders at AFK Gaming, Chief and Sina. The idea of this podcast is to have a casual setting in the AFK Gaming balcony. We're going to talk about all things esports, try and bring a little bit of behind the scenes esports industry stuff to this table. Today's episode is essentially going to feature on, or it's going to be mostly focused around DreamHack Mumbai that just took place over the weekend. We're going to discuss the goods, the bads, and what this means for esports in India and a little bit in Asia as well. Before we jump into that, since it's our first episode, let's do quick introductions, starting with you, Siddharth.
My name is Sina. I manage B2B and client relations for AFK Gaming.
I'm Chief. I do all things tech at AFK Gaming.
And I'm CloudX. I do all things content at AFK Gaming. Let's start off with our experiences at DreamHack, guys. Siddharth, what did you like about DreamHack?
I loved the crowd at the event. I loved the fact that on day 3, when the matches were happening, the Dota was happening in the cricket stage and CS was happening on the main stage, there was a huge crowd cheering for national teams and international teams. We've never seen a crowd, probably maybe at some of the other ESL India Premiership events, but in Mumbai, I think that this was the first time that we saw a huge crowd turn up, cheer for the teams. We had chance of Mushi going out, and we had chance of Marzil for Deathmaker and for Signify. It was amazing. It was the energy of the place was what was my favorite part of this event.
For me, what was really interesting was a brand like DreamHack actually took the gamble on Indian esports. Took that leap of faith and said that, hey, this is an emerging economy or a developing country or so, in a country that's trying to set its foothold in Indian esports, and they considered Indian esports or India as a destination seriously enough to do an event of the scale. I feel that was a pretty big deal for Indian esports and esports in general.
For me personally, I feel like I'm going to give you a peek from the talent side of things. I feel like everyone was a lot more open and easy to communicate with than I thought they'd be. I actually expected the international personalities to have this whole, where stars don't talk to us sort of vibe going on, but it was nothing like that. Most teams were just very approachable. In fact, many players would actually start conversations up front themselves. So that was a very eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah.
Particularly impressed by Stunner, man. That guy is just so good at what he does. And he's also so friendly behind the scenes as well. Very happy to have worked alongside Hades. I think that's a dude that's not gotten enough love on the SCA circuit. Definitely want to see more of him at international events.
Stunner really enjoyed India, dude. Blair was telling me that they went out drinking one night after, I think this was after day 1. Stunner took the auto rickshaw and he was giving high fives to random strangers on the road outside of the... He booked auto rickshaws on Uber every day. He was particularly impressed by the fact that Uber in India had the option to book auto rickshaws. He was super impressed with that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the other side of the coin here. What did you guys not like about DreamHack?
In Indian esports, in the last 3 years, we've seen how events have gone up from being from IGC to the Indian, ESL India Premiership. That's two ends of the spectrum. IGC was a fiasco. ESL India Premiership LAN events are really good. I mean, you see crowd turning up, you see production value, you see everything. What I did not like about the fact was, after coming across, after not been specifically having organized events of ESL India Premiership scale, which are very, very on point, we had technical issues. I mean, you do not expect them to happen in 2018. Even while India is an emerging esports ecosystem, even with that, we do not have technical glitches. We do not have internet problems anymore. For something of that scale to happen at DreamHack was my biggest disappointment here.
I'd agree with Sid there. It always sucks when when there are like 7 to 8 hours of delays on an event of this scale. I personally, like I said, I try to keep it PMA. I don't have too many complaints about DreamHack. It is what it is. All things considered, you can't witness something like the International or the ESL 1 Cologne and expect not yet at least to expect an Indian event to kind of match that grandeur or that scale. But soon, I guess, in the next 18 to 24 months, we could be expecting really big and major things in Indian esports.
Wink, wink.
Why would you wink? What's wrong with you, dude?
It'll come up, bro.
Okay.
That's a separate podcast discussion by itself. What's wrong with Cena?
Yeah.
Episode 2.
That's a 160-hour web series that we're signing up with sponsors for. But yeah, I really feel that the community should be more supportive of this initiatives like this. I think just to stay more positive and be more supportive about events like this goes a long way in the future of Indian and Southeast Asian esports.
I'm okay with the community bashing, to be honest. I mean, yeah, they kind of overdo it on occasion, and it when one thing leads to another, it ends up with goddamn conspiracy theories, which it just gets stupid after a point, and you're like, why am I even reading this anymore? I feel like that's while the community is definitely justified in hating on certain elements, don't let that spill over to everything else and everyone else around you. That's just being childish after a point. That said, though, one of the things that particularly bothered me were the delays, like you mentioned. The 7-8 hour delays, the fact that nothing happened on day 2, the fact that international personalities were asked to play games in the middle of the night, the fact that teams like Signified Dota had to play on like 3 to 4 hours of sleep. All of that, really just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. But all said and done, it was the first time something of this scale took place. While Nodwin's been doing events for a long time, I don't think they've done anything of this scale where they had 250 nodes connected on the network. It seemed like either they were unprepared or Murphy's Law was in full effect on that day. But yeah, if there's any takeaway from this, there's got to be better planning on the networking side of things. True. But it's not all gloom and doom, right? Everything other than the actual networking or the internet at the venue was fantastic. Not much to complain about. Unfortunately, internet is one of the core things of an event like DreamHack. So,
is it fair to say that if you were to point your finger on one thing that went terribly wrong in this event, it was the internet?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only thing I'd point my finger at, to be honest.
Nothing else?
And you?
Actually, no. You know what? I think there were a few other things now that you mention it. One is
you have one finger to point at.
Just one?
Yeah, one finger.
Okay. I'll point it at, since I was talent, I'd probably say that, there could have been better facilities for talent. Maybe things like a hotel room, for example. Traveling 1.5 hours a day to get to the event, early in the morning, erratic schedules. Having a hotel room near the venue would have been nice. Even though I'm from Mumbai itself, the event was in my city. Just having some place to crash nearby when you're tired would have been great. There was also talk about, some folks staying at different hotels and other folks staying at inferior hotels. I'm not a fan of that. I feel like if someone that's doing the same job is put up in a particular location, don't discriminate. Make sure that everyone is staying in the same place. Yeah. I don't want to go into too many details about that. I believe those issues have been resolved internally. So, we don't want to be the ones that fling mud about silly shit like this that's been resolved. What's your finger pointing at?
Your turn to fling mud. What's your finger pointing at?
This is not mud flinging, man. This is finger pointing.
We fling mud with that finger.
Let me take that drink away from you.
I think the one thing that I would sure, bro, that's juice, grape juice. I would point if I were to pick one thing about this event, it would be the internet issues. I think everything else, of course there were nitty-gritties that could have been ironed out better. But if the one major thing that I'd like to point out was the internet issues. 2018, almost 2019, we need to have better connectivity. And an event of Nesco's stature and an event of DreamHack scale should have had better internet for sure.
Yeah. So if Chief doesn't point the finger at what I wanted to point, I'm going to use another finger and point as well. Go for it, Chief.
I still pointed towards internet issues. I feel that if you actually look, if you take a step back and look at connectivity and internet infrastructure, let's take a bunch of steps back. What are you laughing at?
Let's go back to the
No, but India is actually being looked at as a serious destination for a lot of social media activity, a lot of content activity. India is a prime destination for a lot of YouTube stuff. It's a prime destination for a lot of social media, whatnot. I still feel that having your internet not available for the most part of a day is a step in the wrong direction. I feel that that needs to. I don't necessarily feel it was the event organizer's fault. Yeah, sure. You can argue all day about yeah, there should be better backup planned. They should have had better contracts with the suppliers, etc., etc. End of the day, what happened, and we did face around 7 to 8 hours of downtime. In my view, that's unacceptable. I feel that if you're a tournament organizer, you should be bargaining harder with your ISPs. You should be bargaining harder for better deals with your internet providers, especially when you're doing an event of this scale. And if a disaster like this were to happen, like, I'm not qualifying this as a disaster, but if you're having like 6 hours of downtime, the providers better be held accountable, or the suppliers better be held accountable, which I'm not sure how much of it is happening today. India has a lot of chalta hai culture, please adjust and cope with it. I don't think serious business goes along with that let's cope with it, or let's adjust and move on kind of attitude. I think, yes, that is a pretty big deal breaker for me.
I think you have another point to make.
Yeah, internet is definitely one of the major issues in this tournament that did plague, that sort of put a stain on it. But I think the other big one for me was the choice of streaming platform.
Right.
I get that media rights are a thing, and it needs to be a thing in esports. It's one of the major drivers of revenue for sports and for any other live IPs, or even just regular IPs, right? That said, though, perhaps consider altering, if not entirely, turning this deal on its head upside down, because there was a massive disconnect, right? You have teams from South Africa, from the Philippines, from Southeast Asia coming in to play this event, but the live stream is restricted to India only.
India, yeah.
These guys have fans. DreamHack is an international property. Heck, it's a Swedish-based brand being operated in India. Why restrict viewership to just one country, right? It got to a point where it actually made sense for Filipino organizers. Heck, one of the Filipino guys actually reached out and said, when are the matches happening? We want to stream it via Dota TV. Neon Esports stream their own matches on their own Facebook page.
Is that legal?
Vivek's asking, is that legal? We don't know. Because
there was another... yeah, I mean, my question was, A, is that legal? And B, there was some talent house from Myanmar in the Dota 2 lobby as well. I checked and they were apparently authorized. So yeah, just adding that. But yeah, more on Woot.
Before I hand it over to G Freak, he's got a question as well. I do think it may have been legal because mostly the way most media rights deals work is they're usually restricted by territory, right? So I would assume that Woot bought the rights to broadcast in India, which is why if someone took it and broadcasted it outside, it may have made sense. But again, this is something we wouldn't know. It's not publicly known whether or not Woot bought rights for just India or for global streaming.
One question here, before we go on to too much of the tangent about if it should have been just for on Woot or if it had just been for India. And I think this kind of borders the line about from a gamer's perspective versus from let's say a business perspective. What if I told you DreamHack wouldn't be a reality if not for Woot, or if not for the title sponsor, or if not the support of Viacom 18? And if this was the only way to bring DreamHack to India, would you still have issues with it?
That's a good question, and I actually want you guys to answer that. I'm just going to add another question. In the process of building DreamHack as an IP, obviously you have to sell it. They're building the IP, sure, because of Viacom 18, because without Viacom 18 it wouldn't happen. But this to an extent does alienate the community. What's the fine line that you have to walk as a tournament organizer? How much can you alienate your community? Because ESL has been happening on Hotstar for a year.
I want to just make one point over here. If I were to put my gamer hat on and think about it, yeah, sure, Woot has a few steps to go before they can call themselves a esports streaming platform or even a live streaming platform. They're missing a chat functionality. They're missing, that it leaves a lot to be desired for the current state of Woot. And I'm sure, there are folks at Woot who are working towards making that a better platform. That being said, if I put on my business hat and then if I think about, would DreamHack even be a reality if not for the support of Woot? This is somebody who is trying to build a live streaming platform and who's testing the waters with an event of this scale. I don't know. It leaves me torn as someone who works in esports and as someone who is also an avid content consumer. I feel that the right direction would be that Woot takes feedback from this event positively and moves on to become a better platform to serve esports content.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm leaning towards.
One of the major problems with deals like these is you can't. So for live content, you cannot restrict a geography, right? So if you, let's say for example, you want to stream on YouTube, and then you want to say that this stream is not viewable in India, that's not a possibility. I believe it's possible with video content and VOD content. It's not possible with live content, and therein lies the problem, right? Because if Woot did buy rights to broadcast in India, even if it is legal to broadcast it on another platform outside, by default you will also broadcast to India, which would then violate your deal with Woot. If there was a switch that said that you can block this live stream from being this Twitch or YouTube live stream from being watched in India, and everyone from India could only watch on Woot, and then everyone else outside, all the fans of Neon Esports and Bravado etc., could watch from outside of on YouTube or Twitch or whatever platform. I think that's the best. I think that's the best platform.
But YouTube still comes to India.
Yes, YouTube still comes to India.
So it has to be another.
No, let's again.
You can actually block. You can block it.
I don't really want to complicate this matter with geo-targeting and rights buying and all. My fundamental question is this: why wasn't DreamHack Mumbai on Twitch? Like, that's the go-to platform for all esports events. Woot could have sponsored it, and it could still have been a Twitch event. It kind of may be counterintuitive from a Viacom 18 perspective, but you have a good platform out there. Why not use it?
The idea for Woot to sponsor for Viacom 18 to do this event in India is because they wanted that new audience on their platform. They wanted the emerging esports market to come down to Woot and watch esports content there. For them to sponsor an event that's happening on Twitch would be very counterintuitive and counterproductive as well. It wouldn't work for them.
So you think the Woot stream was a success?
I'll be very straightforward. I hate it. I hate the fact that DreamHack was on Woot. Community at home had a terrible experience watching it. I'm very displeased with the fact that ESL India Premiership is on Hotstar. People don't experience it's India's flagship event, and they cannot watch it with the experience that they should be able to. There's no chat on it. There's no viewer count on it.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've also got to understand that the reason
it's happening is because of
exactly.
So it's a very bittersweet.
Exactly,
it's a very bittersweet sort of a feeling.
Because on one hand, you do need to have media rights sales to keep it
absolutely.
profitable and to make it a lucrative business.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, the rights buyers, they don't have platforms that are esports ready in their entirety.
So I think the only way forward from here would be for the Hotstars and the Woots and the everybody else's, the non-endemic streaming platforms, to be able to eventually build a platform that is comparable to Twitch or has the same experience that a esports content consumer can gain on their platforms itself.
And that's, I guess that's
it's feedback or it's criticism at this point.
I feel like that's the gamble that Nodwin is taking with these guys. That they are actually building towards making esports.
But what I hoped or what I thought would have been better approach to this would be for Woot to consider taking up a smaller event, take feedback from that event, see what can be improved upon on their platform, and then be able to do something on DreamHack scale.
Let's hope this was the small event for them then.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Do you think, like, again, put on your business hat here and say that if Viacom 18 wanted to do a smaller event, would they really want to attach the name to a small no-name event, or do you think that Woot feels that they're big enough and they're massive enough to just say we'll work only with the biggest and best, and if it means that this DreamHack was them testing the waters, then that's a small investment on their side to learn a lesson.
Possibly. I'm like you said earlier, I am very torn. I mean, again, it's a difference of opinion from a gamer's perspective and a businessman's perspective.
So G-Freak, so for those of you that are wondering why the mics are being passed around, we're actually sitting in the balcony. Folks are getting mics handed to them if they want to ask questions and jump in here. G-Freak had something he wanted to add here.
So we all know Valve's technical policy on content. With the whole ESL fiasco, we found out that as long as streamers use their own camera work and their audio, they are free to cast whatever on whichever channel they want. Uh, is that something that might come into play with Wood's technical exclusivity for India?
No. Huh.
I think that's a problem that's a different problem altogether, right? Because no matter where you stream it, you're still it's a very gray policy that Valve has put out that says if you're a commercial organization, you can't do it. If you're an individual, you can do it. You can use your own camera perspective and all of that. That's a whole different discussion and debate altogether, I think. But the short answer is that yes, if someone does start streaming within Valve's policies or within Valve's loose policies, and Wood does decide, this is mine and I DMCA it, we're going to see a shitstorm all over again.
Okay, by the way, guys, there were two guys, restreaming yesterday's matches. One on Twitch, one on YouTube. The VODs are there on YouTube. I just found them. But yeah, what I wanted to say is, y'all are hoping that Woot and Hotstar improve. I'll be very honest. It's been nearly a year since the Premiership started, or whatever, 2 seasons. Hotstar has made 0.1 improvements. I'll also comment on Woot because I think Woot is, in my eyes, the better platform as far as tech is concerned. In a sense, at least the player has better tech, not the bitrate side of things and not the stream quality side of things. For example, they have a live button that works. But Wood has been, for those of you that don't know, there have been Hindi broadcasts of popular CS events, and those have been going out on Wood for at least 3-4 months now. And well, I don't know if these guys are really interested in improving the tech. I don't know what's in it for them, but that's how Woot has been. Do you think ESL India, I mean, there are ESLs that happen in smaller countries. I think Brazil has one, South Africa has one. All of them have their ESLs. I don't know what their content deals are like. It's worth probably looking it up. But do you think it's okay if it were a smaller event, if you didn't have that 1 crore prize pool, but the community had a better experience? Or do you think growing like this is meaningful growth?
I feel that, I mean, to answer your question in short, I feel that if Wood is seriously interested in getting into esports, at this point, I don't feel that they're ready to be the exclusive content delivery partners for esports at this scale. They can be part of esports, but they should allow for people to watch on Twitch if they if they felt that was a better experience, and then they should use this as an experience to incrementally better their platform. What I'm heading towards is, instead of harping too much on what Wood's doing right or what someone's doing wrong, I think we should move on to bigger and better things in terms of what's in store for the year to come. We're towards the end of 2018. 2019 is obviously around the corner. I have one interesting question. Do you think there'll be a DreamHack Mumbai or DreamHack somewhere in India 2019? Do you think the tournament organizer, NotWin, will do another event? Do you think Viacom 18 will support it? Do you think the international teams who came here will come back? Things of those nature are interesting for me to hear your thoughts and opinions about, and yeah, that's the kind of discussion I want to have right now.
The short answer is yes. The bird's eye view, the objective look at this tournament is everything except the internet was good. Almost everything except the internet was good. I don't see this as big a deterrent as people are making it out to be. It is not the death of Indian esports, just like Forsaken wasn't the death of Indian Counter-Strike. People tend to really bandwagon and overhype the whole death and destruction scenario. From my conversations with the talent and the team managers, they were okay with it. They sort of understood where they're coming from. They understood what the issues were. They seemed receptive to coming back if the opportunity arose in the future. And from what we know, there are going to be opportunities arising very soon.
Yeah, I think I agree with Nishant. I mean, coming year should be, especially with DreamHack having invested in Indian esports, having Viacom invested in esports. I am fairly certain that Viacom did not spend a significant amount of money, as I'm assuming they did invest a significant amount of money. They're not going to let go of Indian esports after this event. I'm fairly certain that this was the start of something big to come from Viacom 18. For DreamHack, I'm sure this was not a one-off investment. I'm sure they're going to look at growing this industry as well.
That's the easy answer. My question was really, is this a demo reel for something like an ESL 1 to come to India or a Valve major to come to India? If we use DreamHack Mumbai has testing the waters. Do you see something like this, a larger scale event? Like, sure, Viacom 18 stepped into Indian esports. They're going to do big things in Indian esports, no doubt. The easy answer is sure, it'll incrementally get better, blah 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 blah. If this was the proof of concept, are we going to see a Valve event in India 2019?
I'm sure we will. I mean, will it be a Valve major or a
On
minor?
what
I'm not
basis?
sure.
On what basis? I mean, for all intents and purposes, Valve would say, hey, you had an 8-hour internet downtime, why should we do a major here?
I don't know, man. I mean, sure. I mean, that's one way to look at it. But 2 years ago, if you were to think about whether India is going to have a DreamHack, I wouldn't see. I mean, we wouldn't have expected DreamHack to be happening in India in 2 years' time. Today, having shown the world that India is capable of executing something of DreamHack scale. Sure, I wouldn't say only the internet issue is something that's going to turn off everybody in the world and say India is not ready to do a major event. We had a huge turnout in terms of crowd. We had a huge turnout in terms of people cheering for teams. We had teams that went back with good feedback. So those things are more important in terms of and a large scale events viability in India compared to infrastructure, which also is important, but I wouldn't say it's a deterrent or a breaking factor.
Personally, I don't think that we're ready for a Valve major or Valve event just yet, but I do see. I think we're ready for a tier 1 esports event in the country, and perhaps the success of that determines whether or not we're ready for a proper Valve event.
Do you think Bombay was the wrong destination for a DreamHack? Do you think Bangalore or Delhi would have been a better choice?
Yes and no, because on one hand, just by virtue of doing anything in Mumbai, it becomes more expensive. But Mumbai is where the crowd's at.
I disagree with you.
No,
I say Delhi. I mean, we're
because
all
you're
talking
from
about our
Delhi,
respective hometowns at this point.
Yeah, really,
But
Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai.
I'll tell you why I'm leaning towards Delhi. DreamHack, especially DreamHack Mumbai, DreamHack globally is a BYOC property. It started off as a BYOC. Delhi is the biggest BYOC culture in India. Invited teams for DreamHack Invitational would have landed in Delhi or in Mumbai. It doesn't matter.
You're right. For a since DreamHack is very BYOC.
It is a BYOC event.
Yes.
For DreamHack Mumbai, Delhi would have been the best location. Only because of the BYOC culture in Delhi, which does not exist in Bangalore or Delhi. As far as the DreamHack Invitation is concerned, teams could have landed anywhere and played anywhere as far as the stage was ready.
Yeah, you're right. I have to agree with you. As if it's the BYOC perspective, and if BYOC was priority at this event, anywhere in the north of India, not necessarily Delhi, I just think towards the northern side of India would have been the better location.
What about a holiday destination like Goa or like some other place? What's like? If I'm not wrong, we did the last successful BYOC was in Goa.
No,
There was a BYOC in Goa.
no, that was ICGC that you're thinking of, and that wasn't a BYOC.
Okay, but why? Like Goa is close to Bombay. It's a holiday destination.
You're not gonna get. So if you're doing a studio style event in Goa with a little bit of shoulder content from the venue, I think that's a great approach. But if you're expecting audiences to buy paid tickets, come to Goa and attend a BYOC, it's a no-go.
See,
Vivek
the thing
wants
is,
to add something,
just one sec. So the reason why Goa or a holiday destination like a Mussoorie or a Pondicherry or something would not have worked is my approach to this is India is a very price conscious market. People first have to buy tickets for BYOC and then they have to pay for their travel tickets to travel to a location outside of their hometowns, which I think is a huge decision making factor for an Indian gamer, because how much they have to spend in order to attend a BYOC is very important to them. If they were to buy plane tickets or flight tickets in addition to purchasing BYOC tickets, I think that would be a major factor in their decision making. And I think something in a metropolitan city in India would be the best approach.
I think that's the problem with the BYOC. To do a all India BYOC, to be truly successful, because it's partly a competition. I think a BYOC in Delhi, great. Delhi has a BYOC culture, people from Delhi will come. But when you're doing a tournament in a BYOC and teams have to travel, it's very unrealistic. 5 PCs, that means an Air India ticket. Everyone can't do that. Teams had to back out. So it mostly, traditionally, DreamHack tends to happen in European countries where there's great public transport. Trains where you can transport stuff. So I think trying to pull off a successful BYOC in a city like Mumbai is hard. Delhi has the culture, Delhi is where you want to do it, but doing it as a tournament, I don't think any city in India is capable. Plus, internet at the venue is something that everyone's talking about. Mumbai just sucks for internet. Mumbai just has the worst internet. I'll probably rate internet as Bangalore, Hyderabad and then Delhi. Bangalore, Hyderabad tie for me and then Delhi. So this is where you want to go for infrastructure. Mumbai was probably the bad choice. I think I'm going to ask you guys another question that's a little forward looking towards 2019. I mean, it's no secret now that Jio is looking to enter Indian esports as a TO. They have big plans.
We don't know if it's as a TO or what yet.
I mean, from what we've heard, yeah.
They're entering as a TO.
Yeah.
We know that from their job listings.
Yeah. I mean, Nishant, Rakesh even said we've all been around when Zapak was there. I don't know which Ambani did that. But yeah. What do you think this means for other TOs such as Nodwin or even Corbex, which is trying to pull off a big tournament? Is Jio going to be better for us, obviously, as content providers because we'll have more work? But do you think this is what the scene needs? More TOs? We need to break what the circuit has been so far? And what do you think Jio will be able to pull this off? I mean, they do weddings quite well.
What?
The wedding, Antilla. So can they do tournaments?
Take the mic away from this guy, please. This turned into a press conference. No, but I think, okay, very selfish perspective here. As a content player that's open to working with multiple TOs, I think it's great that there's more potential clients coming on board, okay? And I know Sid should be the one saying this, but I'm going to say it for him. But it's also, the other thing is that there's now going to be a lot more local tournaments that will reward local players, if you ask me. I've always maintained that India is more prone to turn into a destination for high quality Indian esports tournaments and IPs and such, as opposed to being a hub that produces very talented players that go outside and play. It's a lot like it's a very China style approach where you sort of build this whole, not entirely closed but pseudo closed ecosystem where you have homegrown talent, homegrown fans, homegrown tournaments, everything just inside the country itself. And then once in a while you have these big breakout ones that invite the international guys. That's the case today with an occasional DreamHack popping up. I think we're going to see a lot more of these tournaments coming up as well.
Jio is not the first big non-endemic brand that's come and say, hey, I'm going to do events in India. A few months back we had UTV coming up with UCypher.
UTV wasn't. Yeah.
Esports.
It's Esports coming up with UCypher. Again, it was backed by a big parent company. What they managed to achieve was entertainment using the... What they managed to achieve was entertainment using esports as a transport vehicle. I don't think what they did, again, my opinion, was truly esports. I think Jio, it's too soon to say what Jio is trying to do. But I'm sure that it will kind of motivate, or it will force all the existing TOs, Nodwin and the other big ones in India, to step their game up if they want to compete with the resources and the might of some a company like Reliance or Jio. Sure, it only sounds of good things. Now, if Jio wants to do entertainment using esports as a transport vehicle, sure, more power to them. They can build as close as an ecosystem and promote their brand in India all they want. But I'm very much interested to see India in the global esports geography. Like, I want to, back in the day, you think back 2008, 2010, everyone used to think Korea was like the global esports superpower. Today, it's really hard to say, for different esports. There are different countries which kind of dominate specific esports.
Let's go China.
Yeah, there's China. Then it's all over the place. But I really, as a fan, as someone who's on the who works in esports, want to see India on the map. Even if it's for just one esports, it can be a single player esport for all I care. Like, it could be like a platform fighter, like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, whatnot. I just want India to be on the map, and I think that will kind of set the context for things moving forward. Where do you see India on the track towards being on the global esports map? Which esport do you think India will first pick up, or do you think that we're going to get there at all, like in 2019?
So before I answer your question, I also want to go back to Vivek's question about what is it that India needs in order to break out to a global level. While events of DreamHack Scales and the ASL India Premiership, which happen at a nationwide level, are great, and they've definitely put India on a global esports map. What I think is also required is for India to have smaller granular level events in order to be able to develop the community or the following, or be able to garner the bring in the peripheral audience into the core of esports. What I think is, there are thousands of or lakhs of CS:GO players that do not follow esports today, and they're all in your engineering colleges in India, and they're all in your tier 2, tier 3 cities in India. What I would like to see Geo doing in the coming year is to have them organize collegiate tournaments. We know we've had a few collegiate tournaments or leagues happening in the last few years, but they were not consistent enough, or they were not popular enough to be able to bring in that audience. I've had the pleasure of, while I was working with BenQ Zavi in the past, I had the pleasure of attending college festivals at IIM Ahmedabad and IIT Roorkee and others. And what I saw there was that, these colleges have global elite players. These colleges have SMFCs and, high rank, I don't know the ranks in Dota, high ranking Dota players as well. But they do not know that there is a ESL India Premiership running. So what I would like to see is smaller scale, city level or cafe level events happening across India that can then, invite this peripheral audience into the core. And, somebody with Reliance's backing or something of Geo's stature doing something of that sort would be a huge boost to Indian esports, I feel.
So there's two interesting points that Chief made right now. Yeah? One is the whole angle of TOs having to compete with each other and step up their game on account of competition. Definitely a fan of that. Definitely a fan of more competition for tournament organizers. It means that, so one of the things you've got to remember is there's only so many calendar slots that you can take up, and so many time slots within a day that count as prime time. The pool of talent and the pool of service providers in India is limited. It's going to make the industry as a whole a lot more valuable on account of increased demand, if you ask me. There'll be a lot more people competing or bidding rather for services, for talent, for casters, for content creators, producers, all of that, admins even for that matter, at prime time. So essentially the price of every service for a particular time slot is going to start going up. That's one angle that's going to boost the industry overall in terms of just revenue numbers for all intermediaries inside the industry. And therefore, since costs are going to increase, your asks from sponsors is also going to increase, leading to an increase in revenue for tournament organizers. Overall, it's just a nice way to boost the scene. The second thing that Chief talked about is, he'd like to see India as a powerhouse for at least one esports title or genre. Now, every bone in my body tells me not to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. No, it's not Dota. As much as I would like it to be Dota, I don't think it is. I do think, given India's smartphone demographics, given India's mobile penetration stats, it's very likely that it's going to be a mobile esports title. And this is something that, we've discussed internally to death. We do believe that mobile esports does have significant potential, and more so in India than in any other country, save China, perhaps.
My point is why I'm asking this is like, I think of Puppy put Estonia in the esports map. Sumail and Yawar put Pakistan in the esports map. Do we see an Indian legend putting India on the esports map? Again, both my examples were from India. I feel that if that's going to happen, my gut tells me it's going to be from PUBG Mobile. It's going to be some random Bunty or Bubbly who's going to put India in the esports map. But if that's our gateway to heaven, then sure, I'd walk up those stairs any day.
No, I agree with you. I think just looking at the stats, and I was making a pitch to a client some time ago, and I was doing some research on data, and I came across the number of smartphone users in India is roughly the same population as the entire population of the US.
So politically correct.
It's the same population of US. Just the probability of having that one legendary player come out of such a large smartphone market or a PUBG mobile market is far greater than any other sport in India, because we know that the player base for those is smaller in the country.
Yeah. I'm actually going to take a contrarian view here and say that, even though, for example, Dota and Counter-Strike in India has a larger player base than many Southeast Asian countries, we still don't have any fantastic player. Now, maybe that's a factor of culture. Maybe that's a factor of, just overall an overall approach that the country has taken to the game. But even if we don't have a straight up star player coming out and putting India on the global map, I think it's going to be just the ecosystem or the fact that India will be a destination for global esports events that will put India on the map.
Is it going to be a breakthrough individual player that's going to put India on the map, or is it going to be by virtue of let's say India getting qualifier slots? I think recently for there have been events that now Southeast Asia, or even Southeast Asia has been broken up into South Asia and India specific qualifiers. Do you think that's going to be the way we get recognized, is by having dedicated slots for the India region, or you think the way to get recognition is one breakthrough talent? To be completely honest, there have been two people in the Indian esports ecosystem. Again, this is to my best of knowledge. One is a Hearthstone player. I think Tirth is his name. He's kind of been doing his bit in the Hearthstone scene. And the second guy was Crowley back during his Oblique Gaming days, who showed a lot of potential. Yeah, man. Those were the two real hopes for Indian esports for me. But I don't know, man. Could it be Mazel from India who is going to be the next big breakthrough star for Indian esports? I don't know. That's the thing, right? Like, it's really hard to sit here and comment like who's going to be the next big thing, or is the next big breakthrough player not even been spotted or scouted yet? Like, is he sitting
Does
at
it
home?
have to be a player though that puts,
Or a team? That's my point.
or a team for that matter? Does it have to be either of these two?
What else
Couldn't it be like a stellar? Okay, AFK Gaming, why not? But I mean, that's the approach I'm taking. Couldn't it be like one stellar tournament IP based out of India? Couldn't it be, let's say, a super valuable startup based out of India? Couldn't it be, I don't know, one super talented caster? Blaze the most likely candidate for that. Something along those lines.
That's I don't necessarily feel that today talent and orgs are as much as in the mainstream media or have the mainstream limelight. My point is, you can be as talented as you want as an org or as a talent in an event, but you don't really get the mainstream coverage. Like, you've had people like your Tobis of the world, but too few people know where he comes from. Like, in terms of we know he's from Australia, but did Toby put Australia in the esports map? I wouldn't say for sure. He became relevant because he adapted to the ways of esports. He was there since from day one, and then he was there even before esports was a thing. But would I think did Toby put Australia in the esports map? No, I don't think so. I don't agree that if a player, if it's not a player, it's not going to be an org or a talent who does this.
Sure, I'd agree. I think to a certain extent, yes, Toby has been, the flag bearer for esports in Australia, but it's not as impactful as, for example, a Sumail that went and made his name over there.
I think Renegades is the right example for Australia. Renegades are the Australian team that made it global for Australia. Yeah.
Where is the next Indian team is my question. Have we not scouted them? What's wrong? Where's the next Indian team? If Renegades did that for Australia, Sweden has been known for its esports, Korea has been known for its esports, China has done a lot for esports.
Denmark today.
Yeah, exactly. Denmark, America, especially the efforts from North America. You see someone like PPD who creates his own NA in-house league. And then, you see a lot of efforts being made by these countries to kind of put themselves on the global esports map, and efforts by these countries to be taken seriously. Is India an internal, I don't know, I don't want to use the word shitfest, but in terms of...
But you used it.
I said I don't want to use the word shitfest. But is the case that in India that everyone's just fighting for the Indian consumer rupee, or is anyone really seriously making an effort to kind of be the top dog in Indian esports or the global esports?
I think
You talk after you eat.
I think Indian orgs, Indian players are making genuine efforts to make it outside. But to be honest,
Do you want to name names?
I think Signify is or the ex Optic squad minus Forsaken genuinely wanted to make it global. I mean, I had to make it minus.
That's like I mean,
or
Forsaken is like
probably is-
Voldemort at this point. We just
Forsaken
don't speak his
probably
name
is the
because
biggest-
someone's gonna come on CS:GO India and say, "Hey, why are you supporting Forsaken?"
No, I'm saying Forsaken, for example, probably is the biggest person who wanted to make it global because he used, and he had to use whatever.
For all the wrong reasons. man.
I'm saying, I don't know. I'm saying in terms of effort or intention, I think there are people who want to make it global genuinely. I know for a fact Marzel, people like Ace, people like Crowley have been making efforts for a very long time to make
Yeah.
it outside. But I think there's a skill cap in India. I think India, like Nishant said earlier, is going to be a destination for events. It's going to be a destination for culture. But it's not going to be a talent hub. I think we are capped by our skills.
Okay, G Freak and Vivek both have something to say.
I mean, Sid thinks we're just bad at esports, but
No, I don't think it's as blanket as that. I think
I
there's
think,
something
okay,
wrong
maybe-
with the way we approach.
it's not good.
Training
It's not
esports.
good. It's what he's eating is supposed to be a potato wedge, but look at it. It looks.
Your point.
Huh. I think Nishant mentioned that you said talent don't get the limelight that players do, which I agree. Blay has been interviewed by the mainstream media, at least I'll call HLTV mainstream. Sure, he's no Sumail, but I think TOs can do that. Countries are known for their tournaments. Like, for example, Philippines had a Dota 2 major or minor or
India's-
whatever.
I mean, I was going to say IPL, but India is also known for great Indian players, right? Indian cricket players.
Yeah. But Philippines, I'm going to break down Philippines and draw a parallel to India. Like, for example, they're known for TNC and what they've done in Dota since many years. Obviously, they're much more skilled. But they're also known for the passionate fans and how good events are over there. For example, whichever talent ends up going to the Philippines, they always rave about the fans and blah, blah, blah. I think we can do something like that in India. But I also think we could do something like what TNC did. And I think we need to give it a little bit more time. I'll say let's give it a year. What basically happened, why TNC could break through is because they had someone from the West guide them from a macro perspective of the game, and that was 1437. And earlier on, it was Demon when they beat OG. And I think YBs are 1437. Pray to YB and hope that Signify does the same. That's it.
My question is, why do you think that one player from India is gonna put us on the map? Say, since we are talking about Australia, KP, who was actually at the DreamHack India, is from Australia. Did he really make Australian esports relevant? Or let's say Anna, who actually won TI8, did he make Australian esports relevant? There are other players as well. QO is from Australia. Do you really think one Indian player has the charisma or say the pull to put Indian esports on the map?
Counter to that is the Sumails and the Yavars, yeah, and Puppy. So some of them might just.
It's not. I mean, it's not on the map in a big way. It's. I mean, I would say that Puppy putting Estonia on the world map is akin to Toby putting Australia on the world map
Yeah.
in terms of
Before
esports.
2010, I didn't know Estonia was a country.
You got to use a mic, man.
Before 2010, I didn't know Estonia was a country. Puppy put it on my map.
This is
That's
going to be the highlight of
okay,
this podcast. Let this be the thumbnail that goes on Facebook.
तेरे को पता था क्या?
हाँ शायद बता था मेरे को. एस्टोनिया सुना था कभी.
No, but yeah, I think that there's two schools of thought: the pull and the push ideology. The push ideology is essentially a player goes out there and makes his name, and the pull ideology is that we have a hub over here that pulls in players and international eyeballs over here. And they're both right. We don't know which one's going to turn out to be the one that's true in India, but they both work in different parts of the world.
True.
I don't know why you guys don't understand that you need a mic to make a comment.
Basically said if it's not Signify in 6 to 8 months, I'll give them 12 months because they don't have Forsaken. You should be shit scared.
Now I know why you don't have a mic.
But why are we hedging our bets on Signify? I don't get it. Like, what if the next big thing in Indian esports has not even been scouted yet? Like, college events and what if PUBG Mobile or some mobile esport is going to put India on the map?
I have huge faith in mobile esports, especially in India. I think Mobile Legends, it's low skill, and like I said, India has a skill cap. But we've also had people in sports other than CS and Dota that have made it global. For example, B3 from it has made it really big in Street Fighter. We know
Even
that.
Tirth from Hearthstone, he actually went
He
and
just
won
mentioned
bronze.
Tirth, yeah. But otherwise, in the past, we've also had Sagar Vyas do wonders in FIFA, and I mean, we've had people make it to global levels, but we were limited by skill cap.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap this up, really quick thoughts about what does having DreamHack come to India and being run pseudo successfully mean for Indian esports?
More DreamHack.
More media partners.
That's such a selfish way to look at it, man. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it is
for
selfish,
Indian
and-
esports, not for AFK gaming.
I get, okay. I don't know. I see more investment, more players interested. I'm hoping for a better BYOC culture. But all in all, I say more DreamHack, more large scale events, more international events.
If you're an ISP and if you're watching, there's a big market for you to step your game up.
Yeah, the reason this
I agree.
podcast didn't go live is because the good ISP for esports and live streaming in Mumbai just doesn't exist.
True. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's that if DreamHack has an overall positive connotation in the industry circles, this should lead to more investment, more experiments by non-endemics,
Yeah.
and also a call for tournament organizers to rally, right? Because there's two sides of the coin. The industry sponsors and the media rights buyers probably see it as a success and the potential for success, and then the tournament organizers see it as a failure and an opportunity for them to go and say, I can do it right. It's all in all, it's a good thing for the industry, and it's also a wake up call for existing players like Nodwin to step up their game in certain elements of tournament production and tournament organizing. I only think it's upward from here. I disagree with some of the social media comments saying, oh, this is doom, oh, you're killing Indian esports. Remember that 5 years ago you had to travel by train to play a tournament for 10,000 rupee prize
And
pools.
pay for your own travel.
Yes.
Yeah.
This year there's I think north of 4 crore in prize pool just
Absolutely.
paid out in Indian esports alone. So anyone that says that esports in India is dead is either a fool or just a mindless hater.
Agreed.
Okay, with that cheesy line, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for tuning into the first episode of the Men of Culture podcast. If you've enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. You can follow us on social media. If our editors are doing their jobs right, somewhere in this general vicinity, you should see our social media links. Be sure to follow, and any constructive criticism is most welcome. Until next time.
Sorry for the poor video quality, will be better.
No, we won't.
Nope.
We'll see you guys
Lack
next
of
time.
infrastructure, but-
Good night.